So recently, my Twitter timeline has been infested with non-stop bombardments all about one particular new motion picture, Soul, brought to you by Pixar. And after I saw that it was made by Pete Docter, the sadistic master of manipulation who brought us such classics such as Inside Out and Up, I knew I had to check it out. Also, I just learned that Pete Docter is not an actual doctor, so that's pretty awkward. And see, I knew I was gonna cry. That was no question. But the question was, is this movie good? And guys, this might sound really controversial, but it's like really fucking good. Like really good. You know what? Fuck it, I'll say it. It might be one of the best animated pictures I've ever seen in my goddamn life. You know what? Fuck that. It might be one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. You know what? Fuck it. I'll take this one step further. It's one of the best looking animated films I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. And guys, we've all seen the trailer for Camp Coral, the new SpongeBob spinoff. And as Mauricio from Brown Table would say, that shit is
cinema in its purest form.
All joking aside, let's talk about how Soul relit my spark. Strap in, kids, because this video essay / review / discussion / verbal orgasm is gonna be a doozy. Also, in respect of people who haven't seen the movie yet, I will be talking about spoilers later in this video, but if you want to avoid that, then I recommend you just pause this video right now, go to Disney Plus, and fucking watch Soul in its entirety, maybe twice because it's really fucking good, then come back here, unpause the video, and watch. And if you don't give a fuck about spoilers, then keep watching this, and you do you, boo-boo. Also, if you guys want deeper appreciation for this movie, I highly recommend you guys check out the podcast made by Pete Docter and the rest of the people who made this movie. Their love for the movie is infectious and you will love the movie even more. And now let's begin, so viewer discretion is advised. So for those who have not seen the movie yet, Soul follows the life of Joe Gardner, played by Jamie Foxx, a down-on-his-luck jazz teacher who gets the opportunity of a lifetime to play with his favorite jazz artist. He gets the job and then immediately dies. He ends up in a type of afterlife, and then he meets up with a soul named 22, they become friends, and then they basically go on an adventure to try and get Joe back into his body before his show. On this adventure, Joe and 22 both learn about the magic of living, the purpose of life, and the spark that guides us through all we endeavor. So before I start ovulating over how good this movie is, we gotta talk about the stuff that I did not like. Buckle up, guys, this one's gonna be rough. Number 1, there are no thick Pixar moms. Okay, I'm done. Let's talk about the good things now. The animation in this movie is goddamn impeccable. It is so goddamn amazing. It's top tier. It's unmatched. And if you disagree with me, on God, I will punch you in the dick. And if you're a female, I will punch you so hard in the vagina. The first thing I want to say is that the clothings in this fucking movie are goddamn drop dead gorgeous. Anyone that knows me knows I don't give a fuck about how clothes look in movies, god damn it. I don't give a two shit flying fuck. But holy shit, do you see the goddamn detail that goes into this turtleneck and this man's hat? I'm getting itchy just looking at it. Holy shit, I'm like touching myself all over. God damn, every piece of clothing looks like the fucking animator like stitched it by hand out of the actual goddamn fabric. Oh my god. Like, you know what, just fucking like, God, I don't even know. I don't have words to say how good this is. You know what? I'm gonna show you guys some great ones. Take it away, SpongeBob.
What could he possibly use? Oh, that's not so much. So?
Holy shit, Tess. Do you see the goddamn texture of those goddamn fucking instruments? Holy shit. How do you even make something like this? What kind of computer do you have? Show me your CPU. Yo, this fucker took me a good fucking 54 minutes to make, and it still looks like shit. Don't worry, Theodore. They don't deserve you. I still love you. You're perfect just the way you are. I'm gonna say something controversial. I don't want you guys to get heated about this. I don't want you guys all up in my DMs about this. I don't want to hear nothing about this, alright? But I'm gonna say anyways. I fucking hate New York City. I hate the entire thing. The entire city smells like shit. The people there are assholes. It's overpriced. It's overpopulated. It's dirty as hell. It's stinky. And overall, it's a cesspool of shit.
I understand that coming from New Jersey, you don't picture yourself loving New York. But trust me, Marshall didn't expect to, and now he wouldn't think of living anywhere else.
I hate New York!
On that note, though, holy shit, does this movie get me horny for New York. Like, on God, it's so fucking gorgeous, it's vibrant, it's beautiful, and just so detailed. It's on par with Spider-Man, the PS4 game, for the most accurate and beautiful depiction of a city in media. Holy shit. But it's not even NYC. Like, The Great Beyond looked goddamn phenomenal. Like, on my second watch through of this for this review, I just stared at it like, oh my god, this is hauntingly beautiful. Because it's so empty, but it's so detailed too. And then you also see The Great Before. It's so lush. There's so much little details, so much love was put into these. There's shit in this movie that I can't even fathom how long it must have taken them to render. God damn. Thank God for Renderman, eh? Okay, so I've said about as much as I can without giving out any spoilers. So from here on out, it's spoiler time, baby! Okay, so from the very beginning of this movie, you just knew that it was built a little bit different. Because instead of the regular da 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 as like the Disney opening, you had some shitty high school rendition of it that was really like indicative of like what this movie was all about and how music was a big factor. You're like, okay, wow, okay, this movie is just literally built different. It is like structured atypically. Okay, if there's any Pixar people watching this movie, I have to ask you a single question. Do you guys make it a mission to make us cry every fucking movie? Because like, I swear to God, ever since you guys came out with Up, you guys are like, yo, let's just make people cry like bitches the whole time. Like, whose decision was this, huh? Was it you, Pete? Huh? Was it you, Dan? Did you come up with the decision? So because this is the spoiler version, let's go through the story again, but this time with some spoilers. Joe Gardner is a middle school jazz teacher who thinks that his life is wasted because he has a dream of becoming big in jazz music, but sadly he hasn't amounted to jack shit. His mom thinks it's a waste of time because he's not financially secure, and thus he's wasting his goddamn life. One of Joe's students calls him up and says that he has a chance to play with one of his idols and to play at his favorite jazz club. He gets a job, and as he's walking home, he dies. He fucking dies. And he goes to this place called The Great Beyond, which is basically like the interlude between heaven, from what I'm guessing. But because Joe Gardner is a fucking thug, he's like, nah bitch, and then he tries to run away.
Move, bitch! Get out the way!
And ends up in a place called The Great Before, which is where you go before you're born. So Joe ends up in The Great Before and meets up with a soul named 22. And 22's entire character trait is that he hates Earth.
I hate it here! I want to go home!
So the movie revolves around the adventure of Joe and 22 as they go back to Earth. Instead of Joe going back to his body, he goes back into some cat, and 22 ends up in Joe's body. And through Joe's eyes, he experiences what Earth really is and falls in love with it. If you ask me, this is where the movie really shines. Tina Fey's portrayal of 22 is perfect because like it just sounds like she's actually like experiencing everything for the first time with bewilderment and amusement, whereas Jamie Foxx's portrayal of Joe is just like pessimistic and just kind of seems like done with life. 22 is experiencing everything for the very first time, but Joe has been through the rounds before and has just been broken down by it. Another thing I haven't heard people talk about nearly as much as they should have is Joe's selfishness. This is a very, very key part that I feel like it had to be talked about. Joe keeps saying that 22 only enjoys certain things because he's in Joe's body.
He's good. I mean, I've heard music before, but I've never felt like this inside.
Of course, you love music now because you're me. Let's go. Let's go.
But doesn't realize that 22 is his own being, is his own entity. Joe is constantly shooting down any hopes of character development for 22 and ends up becoming a selfish prick the whole time. Even going as far as make one of his best students quit band just because he was in a rush.
Joe can't do it today.
You're Joe.
I mean me. Me can't do it today.
Good. Now let's go check out that
I
suit.
came to tell you that I quit.
Quit?
Oh, we don't have time for this. The suit is in the closet.
Band is a stupid waste of time.
Joe also realizes that he's kind of an asshole when he's talking to the barbershop dude, and he realizes that he's never asked any personal questions about Dez's own personal life. And he just talks about his own stuff, his own jazz music, but never talks about Dez, the human. And this was an amazing scene because it proved A, that nobody has just one purpose in life, and 2, from a just human perspective, if you ask somebody about their life and their day, you learn more about them and they just feel happier and more connected to you. A great example of how these two characters differ greatly is when Joe is in his own body and talking to his mother, he's all scared and really reserved. But when 22 is in Joe's body, he doesn't have those same fears, so he can be more open with his mother, and thus, this proves to be an amazing move because it fixed the relationship between Joe and his mother. If left to his own devices, Joe would have never talked to his mother about this, and thus there would always be this sort of resentment between the two characters. I'm going to go into this scene a little bit more in depth a little bit later on in the video, so get ready for that. So wrapping up the story, Joe and 22 eventually go back to the Great Before with the help of some space hippie, and they split, and Joe really hurts 22's feelings, saying, nah bro, none of your experiences matter because they're all my experiences, and basically negating his entire character development and becoming a huge dick. So then Joe goes back to Earth, plays at the jazz concert, realizes that, yo, jazz sucks to be honest. Like, he doesn't hate jazz, but he realizes that there's nothing much he can really do more in life because he had his goals so set, and then ends up going back to the Great Before, becoming best friends with 22 again. Then they both head back to Earth.
Hi! Movie's over! Go home!
And that's the movie. Okay, so I explained the movie pretty badly, but you guys have all seen the movie at this point, you guys know what I'm talking about, so now let's actually discuss this movie. When Joe is describing his love of music, you can just tell that's actually just Jamie Foxx just talking about how much he personally loves music. Okay, this is gonna sound like a really weird example, but just bear with me here, okay? Jamie Foxx talking about his love of music in this movie and Tina Fey talking about her love of life in this movie is really similar to like chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone in the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
These two were dating when the movie was filmed, so I'm pretty sure they just turned on the camera and they were like, okay, Emma, Andrew, just go hang out. We're gonna record you hanging out. It'll be great. We'll put it in the movie. We'll do it for every fucking scene.
No more of this.
Okay, so the main reason I watched this movie is because I saw Richard Ayoade in the cast.
Calm him down. You're acting like an ape. A wild ape.
He's just perfect. He makes me laugh every time. I love it so much.
Teleka what?
Telekinesis. Someone or something is propelling objects around this hospital.
But who and why and for what reason?
I don't know yet. People do develop telekinetic abilities in some rare cases. Often the subject feels angry or unappreciated. How are you two doing up there?
I'm fine, but I'm having to tread on eggshells vis-a-vis Liz. She's got a face like the proverbial. I think it's her time.
Well, you can tell her from me, if I felt sorry for myself 5 days every month, this hospital will be up the creek, sans paddle.
Tell me about it. No one gave me any time off when I had troubles in a similar area. I mean, she's a right roll pain in the butt.
Reed?
It's the phone.
Reed!
What, Dag? Hello?
Also, I need to point this out. This movie paints Mother Teresa as a villain, and I just find that fucking hilarious.
I have compassion for every soul. Except you, I don't like you.
Okay, so the title of this video is How Soul Relit My Spark, and I believe that this is because of 3 key scenes in this movie. These scenes, when I watched them, made me have to take a deeper look at myself as a human being, and ultimately just gave me a more profound and deeper love of life. Okay, this is my 3rd favorite scene in any Pixar movie ever made. Number 1 being the marriage story scene from Up, and the super suit scene from The Incredibles.
Honey! What? Where's my super suit?
And number 3, the barbershop scene with Dez. This scene was a massive turning point for the character, okay? The whole movie we're led to believe that humans have a singular purpose and a singular spark. They're born to do just one thing, like machines. However, when Dez is talking about how he wanted to be a veterinarian, it shows us 22 that life is not just a narrow pathway. Instead, it's like a twisting road full of detours, different exits, and a whole lot of unexpected events.
I wouldn't call myself stuck, but I never planned on cutting heads for a living.
Wait, but you were born to be a barber, weren't you?
I wanted to be a veterinarian.
So why didn't you do that?
I was planning to when I got out of the Navy. Then my daughter got sick, and barber school is a lot cheaper than veterinarian school.
I personally believe that this scene will go down as one of the best character building moments in cinema. As the viewer, we know that's not really Joe sitting in Dez's chair. It's actually 22, a soul who has never seen Dez, never talked with him, and never met another person like him. Joe, on the other hand, is in a cat's body viewing everything as an outsider, so he can actually learn what other people genuinely think of him. As the scene progressed, and Dez continues talking about his own personal life, Joe realizes that he never knew this stuff about Dez because he never asked. Dez points out that all Joe likes to do is talk about jazz.
But it is nice to finally talk to you about something other than jazz, Joe.
Huh, how come we never talked about your life before?
You never asked, but I'm glad you did this time.
Joe has been so self-centered and so self-focused on his own goals that he now has a social tunnel vision and everything else around him is lost. 22, on the other hand, is new to the world, so learning about how crazy the world is actually fascinating to him. The reason I believe that this scene is so profound and so impactful is because both characters learn the exact same lesson. Humans do not have one absolute purpose in life. There's an endless road humans can take, and I believe that's something that's very important. A person can be so fixated on a certain goal that they lose sight of other aspects in life. One day, we're all gonna die. All the wealth we've ever generated, all the success we have means nothing in the end. On your deathbed, who's gonna be there? Is your money gonna be there beside you? Probably not. Is your Fortune 500 company gonna be there to hold your hand when you're scared? Nah. Instead, it's gonna be loved ones. It's gonna be someone who you developed a relationship with. And when we look at that past of Joe, they ask about a woman named Lisa.
It's all in this stupid brain of yours.
Hey, stay out of there.
Oh, relax. There's not much here. Jazz, more jazz. Oh, and someone named Lisa. Who's that?
Never mind.
This can be assumed that this was a girl that Joe really cared about, but gave up in pursuing music because of how one-sided he was. And I want to take a quick look at these two characters, alright? Look at Joe and look at Dez, alright? Both of these characters had dreams. Dez wanted to be a veterinarian, Joe wanted to be a jazz musician. But when Dez realized that he could not do that, he resorted and became a barber. And in the end, he talks about how happy he is.
Well, that's too bad. You're stuck as a barber and now you're unhappy.
Whoa, slow your roll there, Joe. I'm happy as a clam, my man.
Joe, on the other hand, is so relentless and so rock hard about becoming a jazz musician that he has in turn made himself miserable. This reminds me of a popular quote from Bruce Lee.
This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Alright, now we're going to talk about the scene that made me cry like a little biatch. the scene of 22 inside of Joe's body and his mother. In this scene, Joe is vicariously standing up to his mother via 22.
Not this time. Repeat after me. Mom, I know we've had some rough times, but you're right. I can't be truthful with you because it seems like no matter what I do, you disapprove.
Look, I know you love playing.
Then how come except for church, you're the happiest when I don't?
You didn't see how tough being a musician was on your father. I don't want to see you struggle like that.
So Dad could pursue his dreams and I can't?
There's a lot of people who say that his mom is wrong. She's just being a mom, okay? There's nothing really I can analyze about the scene, but I'll revert it to my own life. I want to become a filmmaker as long as I could breathe. Me and my best friend Josh started off making videos in our basement, and our team was literally called No Budget Productions. We made videos with a tiny little video camera, iPads, whatever fucking camera we could find, and we edited that shit like Movie Maker, iMovie on the iPad, you know? Like, we knew they were bad movies, but like, they're fucking awesome, alright?
You have to see them every single day, and it's just not easy.
See, I spend so much time with myself during the school year that nowadays I am my best friend on Snapchat. I'm sending pictures to myself. I'm sending pictures to my dog. He doesn't have Snapchat, but he gets them somehow. And it's a really, really sad time nowadays, man.
Flash forward 10 years later, we're still doing it, and we started BrarHive Entertainment. And now we're doing everything we wanted to do. We have a podcast, we're just making skits on YouTube, and we're working on a movie. There's no promise we're going to succeed in life. I make it because it's my passion. Everyone knows it. My friends and family are supportive of this passion. But because my family also worked in the television industry, they knew the risks. And even though I want to go to film school, they forced me to stay in Calgary and said, first get your degree in poli-sci. And at the time, I was pissed. They knew I was pissed. I was annoyed. I was like, why can't I just follow my dreams? But they just want me to have a backup because they care. See, I have a personal philosophy. Life is short, so why stress? Also, don't be a douchebag. Just be the best version of yourself, and eventually...
But life, finds a way.
It's just as the prophet Ferris Bueller says.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
And lastly, the jazz club scene. The lead singer was amazed, gave him a permanent position. However, at the end of the day, when Joe asked,
So, what happens next?
We come back tomorrow night and do it all again.
Come again for Big Fudge?
What's wrong?
Instead of joy, Joe felt nothing but despair. This is what he comes to learn. Life is not about purpose. It's not about having a dream job. It's about life and living to your best potential. Joe learns that he needs to fill his life with more than jazz and more than just passions. Life is an experience unto itself to be passionate about. It's a lesson that he imparted to 22 and in turn imparted to him. At the end of the movie, he has so many choices to make and the viewer can decide in their own heads what direction he goes. But it's not up for debate like what Joe's learned. Like, just don't take life for granted. He can now seize the whole day. He lived the dream. Now, life is what he makes it. Also, the animation of this scene is fucking phenomenal. Like, holy shit, I am wet. Like, my dick is wet from this. Holy fuck. The very last line of this movie.
So, what do you think you'll do? How are you going to spend your life?
I'm not sure. But I do know. I'm gonna live every minute of it.
The title of this video is Soul Relit My Spark, and it really did. Joe's love and passion for music reignited my love and passion for film. His love of music translates directly with how I feel about making movies. But above all else, this movie made me appreciate life much, much more. We only have a finite amount of time on this earth. Why spend it doing something that makes you unhappy? Live your life, go on adventures, and whatever happens, happens. Soul recalls earlier Pixar films like Toy Story, Up, and The Incredibles, and his hero who feels called to some higher purpose. Music in Joe's case. But the message it carries extends beyond the lucky few with the clarity to know what they want to do with their lives. It makes the case that the big passions that drive you are part of life, sure, but so too are the small joys and familiar routines and complicated feelings. Stop waiting, just start living. In the end, I slap Soul with a solid 9 out of 10. And as always, stay hydrated, wear a condom, and you know what guys? Just vibe.
Hey, we never found out what 22's purpose was.
Excuse me?
You know, her spark, her purpose. Was it music, biology, walking?
We don't assign purposes. Where did you get that idea?
Because I have piano. It's what I was born to do. That's my spark.
A spark isn't a soul's purpose. Oh, you mentors and your passions, your purposes, your meanings of life. So basic.